Hello and welcome. Tabletop games have become very popular over the past year. There are many choices available to those new to the hobby, more than just Games Workshop and their Warhammer brand. So once a month, I'm going to look at two individual starter boxes that are of a similar style and compare them to see which I personally prefer. What is a better way to start than 3rd editions of Warhammer Age of Sigmar and 3rd edition Kings of War? Let's start with the miniatures in each box. In the Age of Sigmar Dominion box you get 60 models. These are Yndrasta, the Celestial Spear, Lord Imperator, Lord Arcanum, Knight Flexor, 3 Praetors, 3 Annihilators, and 10 Vindicators for the Stormcast Eternals. The opposing force in the box is Coolboys, and this has a Killer Boss with a Stabgot, Swamp Crawler Shaman with Potgot, Killer Boss with Great Nash, Turf Merc Knob, 3 Manscura Bolt Boys, 10 Goatrix, and finally 20 Hobgrot Slitters. Dominion box costs £125, so that is £2.8 a model. There are also all monopos, and the lore choices such as the Killer Boss or Nashlu look really nice. There are 2 Kings of War boxes to choose from, and I chose the War in the Holds box because Ratkin and Goblins. I love these fantasy forces in general. That is the reasoning for the War in the Holds box. You get 86 miniatures inside this box, 40 Goblin Infantry, Goblin Whiz, 3 Trolls, and for the Rat King, you get 40 Ratkin Infantry, Ratkin Warlock, and 1 Ratkin Knight Terror. The box costs £80, so that is 93p a model. So, the War in the Hold box is far cheaper. The HQ choices are resin and don't look as nice as the Age of Sigmar ones, but the plastic infantry are multi-kit unlike AOS. So for value of money goes in terms of minis, it has to go to Kings of War. More minis and more choices on how to make them gives Mantic game the edge here. The AOS Rulebook is a tome and a half with over 300 pages in a hardcover. There is plenty of lore, and it is a lot of lore, as in 2/3 of this book is just lore. It is a good introduction into the Age of Sigmar universe with photos of minis. It is a good book to begin the hobby with. However, this is a limited edition box, and for this is a limited edition book. Yes, there's a hardcover available, but it doesn't look the same. It is slightly different. Where the lore is good, the art isn't as good as previous editions, not just the Age of Sigmar, but the fancy battles too. Whereas the Kings of War rulebook is just that, a rulebook, no lore, just rules. Though I would have happily paid the extra to get the thicker rulebook with the lore. For a starter book, it's really good, as it includes the rules for 14 factions. The Ratkin included in the box, the rules for the Ratkin are not. It's a shame that's for such an oversight. The rules for the Ratkin are free to download on the Mantic website. You'll have to click on the download on it and then go through the cart and do that process, but that is how you get it. There is no artwork to talk of. What there is better than AOS, but the lack of art is obvious and a shame too. I personally prefer the 2 Kings of War rulebook. I like its sleekness, where you don't need to buy any extra books for your army. There is plenty of photo of the Kings of War models, and in my opinion they look better than Age of Sigmar. But I have to keep this objective and not let my personal feelings get in the way. So that means Age of Sigmar rulebook is better, with the lore and the photos and everything else actually gives it the edge because it's for a starter. With the amount of quality models and being more than a third cheaper, I have to give it Kings of War the win. The amount of models and the price was its biggest factor in this decision, but given the models are of high quality, it pushed it far ahead of Dominion. The rulebook should have been printed with Ratkin rules. These are free to download anyway, so there's no reason arguing. There are other deciding factors. Was the rulebook itself? Well, with lacking lore, it makes up for this with the faction rules, making Age of Sigmar behind when you consider the extra costs of battle times, just so you can have the unit's rules. Finally, back to the minis. Kings of War choice of multi-part kits outstrips the monopose of Dominion, so you aren't stuck with a unit but have a choice of what you can make with your basic infantry, let alone including what you can put in your bits box for a later date. These are some of the ones you can go into paint as well. Sorry, the infantry are obviously, with their variation, these are the ones you're going to paint the most. So variation is really important here. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. I hope you like this. I shall be hopefully doing another one every month, about the same time. Next one is hopefully going to be Dystopian Wars and Armada. So we've got Dystopian Wars from Wayland Games, or Real Cradle Studios, and of course we got Armada from